Yo, what is up? It is your boys that are back with a brand new part to What If Deku Had Tai Lung's Potential. Now, boys, I know I've been gone for a little bit, but, I was just taking a little bit of a break, letting myself, rest for a little bit because I have been going crazy with the uploads and I hit 2.5K. I'm getting close to 3K, boys, so as soon as you get to that, you guys already know I'm about to be dropping another special because every single time I hit a K, I drop a quick special for you boys, and this special is definitely going to be a good one since I've already started working on it. But that being said, daily uploads are going to basically start happening again. I'm going to start uploading 1 video to 2 videos daily, and let's go ahead and get into this recap and then get started. Okay guys, so on the last part we had left off with Deku basically training with Master Shifu because his parents had essentially left him there when he was born. They couldn't afford to raise him, so they decided to do what was, in their opinion, best for their son, which actually turned out to be pretty good. Now, Deku would have trained for a couple of years, and when he's 15, he would have came to move into the city. And that is because he wanted to sign up to be a hero and go to the best hero school, UA. This is where he met the sludge villain, helped take it out by All Might, and then gained the quirk of One for All. And we'd essentially left off with Deku basically passing the entrance exams. We're going to go ahead and, get started with Deku, just being taken in by shift. Oh my god. Oh my god, I done messed that up. But anyways, also, if you guys want to know what I'm talking about, like, I messed it up, it's basically like I was about to read my little script thing, I guess you could say. And instead of reading the right thing, I read the recap. So my bad. Anyways, now let's officially this time get started. Alright, so we had last left off with Deku passing the exams, and we're gonna go ahead and jump right into Deku walking home. So Deku will be walking home and he'll actually be on the phone with his dad as he then proceeds to tell him that he's pretty sure he passed. As his dad says, "How are you so sure?" As Deku just smiles and chuckles and says, "Trust me, I passed," before telling him that he smashed every robot that he could see, getting at least, I forgot how many points I said. I completely forgot how many points I said. That being said, he got the points that I had basically said on the last part, and tells his father that. Now his dad will tell him that he's pretty happy for him, as he tells him that he better, become the greatest hero, as Deku would smile and say, "I know, Dad. I'll do it for you." Now, this one he'll arrive home, and about a week would pass when his letter would arrive, as it would tell him to come to school on Monday, and Deku would be so hyped. He would have been told that he passed, getting one of the highest scores in all of history, and, letting his dad know that his boy is really out here, he really out here getting in points. Now, this is when Deku would basically get dressed for class, and I'm just going to say it now. He would have, like, a sort of, No. He would definitely have the Tai Lung body build, meaning that he'd be built like Mirio, kind of ish, you could say. So when he pulled up to his class, he was built like that, and as soon as all the girls saw him, they were like, "Oh shit, this boy really, this boy really out here." As Deku would just smile as he walks in. Now, this one Deku would look around his class to see what's going on, as he would see Bakugou and Ida arguing, as he would be like, "I guess I gotta deal with these kids," as he would then turn around to see a girl with orange hair. As he'd about to approach her, somebody comes from behind and grabs him as they say, "Hey, thank you for saving me," as Deku would say, oh, you're that one girl," as she would say, "Hey," as they would begin to talk for a little bit. Now, this one Aizawa would wake up and be like, "So, if you're here to make friends, I suggest you leave now." As Deku would look in that direction, seeing Aizawa, as he then thinks, "Shota Aizawa, the stealth hero." As Deku would smile as he then says, "Understood." Now this one Aizawa would tell them to put these uniforms on and meet him outside, as Deku would not question his authority one bit, as he would then put on the suit and just meet him outside. Now when he's in the changing room, Kirishima would look at him and say, "Dude, how are you so ripped?" As Deku would say that he's been training since he could remember, and Kirishima would tell him where he trained, as Deku would tell him that he trained at the top of the mountain, with Kirishima saying, "That's manly." Now Deku would proceed to look at him and say, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. My dad actually trained me." As Kirishima would be like, "Your dad is the master?" He would say, "No, I'm his adopted son. I never got to meet my parents." As Kirishima would be like, oh, I'm sorry for that. And Deku would say, no, it's completely alright. I wouldn't want you to feel bad for me. As Kirishima would smile and Deku would fist bump him, telling him that it's alright. As Kirishima would smile and Deku would basically walk off with Kirishima. Now, this is when Deku and Kirishima would proceed to be told by Aizawa that they're going to be taking the little exams. As Deku would smile, thinking that this is going to be a good chance to see what he's made out of. This one, Aizawa would look at Deku's direction, saying, here, throw this ball. As Deku would say, for what? As he would say, throw the ball as hard as you can, but you have to remain in the circle. As Deku would say, understood. Now, this one, Deku would cock back his arm and have all of the all for one full Kaolin go through his body. Now, this one, that electricity would start popping off, but this time, it would be black lightning that would basically pop off of him as he would get into a stance and say, Rah! As he would throw the ball as far as he can, launching it 2,569 meters across the field. Now, this is when Deku would proceed to basically walk off as everybody in the class is just like, what? As Bakugou's like, ugh, damn you, thinking that he's going to do better than him anyways, as he throws the ball and gets the same scores in Kennen. In terms of the rest of the scores, Deku would blitz the race, getting about half a second. He would destroy the grip strength machine and destroy all of the normal physical tests that come along with the Quirk aptitude test. Now, after the entire thing, Deku would basically be told by Aizawa that he's pretty impressive, as he's thinking that Deku's definitely going to become an amazing hero. Now, Deku would smile as he then says, sure thing, sir, as he then says bye, as Deku's basically walking with Kirishima out. Now, when Deku will be walking with Kirishima, they'll be talking a little bit, as Deku would say, oh, wait, hold on, I'll catch up to you in a little bit. He'll say, I'll talk to you tomorrow, actually. As Kirishima would be like, oh, that's cool. As Deku would run up to that girl with the orange hair that he had seen in classes. He would ask her, he would tap her on the shoulder and say, hey, what's your name? As Kendo would turn around and say, oh, you're the boy who got first place in the aptitude test. As Deku would say, oh, yeah, she would say, well, what's your quirk? As Deku would say, oh, I have an enhancement quirk. And she would say, oh, enhancement? That's pretty cool. As he and her would begin to talk. Now, this is when Deku would proceed to look at her, and he says, so, what's your quirk? And she would say, oh, my quirk is, big hands. As Deku would be like, big hands, as he starts to chuckle a little bit, and she says, hey, it's not funny. As Deku would proceed to be like, it's a little funny, as she would use her quirk. And Deku would say, wow, that's actually kind of impressive. As she would be like, yeah. As Deku would ask her, so do you do martial arts? As he then looks at her and says, I noticed that your style of carrying yourself around seems like you do definitely have been trained in martial arts. As she would begin to chuckle and say, oh yeah, my dad taught me. As Deku would say, your dad, huh? As he would then look at her as she's like, oh yeah, my dad. As Deku would say, well, that's pretty cool. Now, this is when Deku and Kendo would begin to talk about, how they were trained, as Deku finds out that, she's actually pretty cool and she does some pretty dope martial arts. Now, Deku tells her that once they're at the train station, he would ask her for a number, as she would actually comply. She'd be like, oh, sure. As Deku and her would get each other's numbers, and Deku would end up texting her all night. Now, very next day would arrive. The entire day would basically go by pretty slow. Deku would be hanging out with Kirishima as well as Kendo. She would have definitely been hanging out with Deku, so that would have basically just gone into a more like Ida, Deku, and Uraraka type of friendship, where Deku and Kendo are just talking to each other, getting up to that. We all know what's coming soon, but not yet. Gotta give you guys a little bit of suspense. No, oh my god. Anyways, now this is when Deku would basically just be chilling in the class, in the final class of the day, when suddenly out of nowhere, All Might busts in saying, I am here. As Deku would look at him and say, All Might. As All Might would begin to explain to them about their costumes, telling them that to be hero, you gotta look the part. As he would then proceed to show them their costumes that are on the wall, as Deku would smile, thinking that he's finally gonna get to wear what his father had gave him. Now, this is when Deku would go on to put it's gonna be different. No. Come on now. Tai Lung is Tai Lung. So Deku would actually end up just having the pants, no shirt at all, as All Might would actually look at him and question him, asking him why that's his outfit. As Deku would say that, oh, it's just like a martial art. It helps with my fighting style. As All Might would be like, okay, I'm pretty sure you just want to show off. As Deku would say, no, it's not at all. Excuse me. Now, we got Deku just basically seeing what's going on, as All Might would begin to tell them about the slots and how they're going to be put into teams. Now, teams would go like this: Deku and Kendo versus Bakugou and Ida. Now, when Bakugou hears Deku's name, he's going to smile, thinking that he's finally going to get a chance to kick this nerd's ass. As Deku would just be smiling towards Kendo, asking her what they're going to do, as Bakugou would just bump into Deku and say, "Sorry, nerd," as he would then walk off into the room. As Deku would see that, and he would be like, well, guess I'm going to have to take this guy out. As Deku would just kind of be laughing, as Kendo then looks at him and asks him, what's that guy's deal? As Deku would say he doesn't know. I mean, he's never met the guy before, but he seems to have a little bit of anger issues. As he and Kendo would basically proceed to devise a plan, saying that Deku's going to take out the blonde-haired kid, and she's going to go take out the Ida kid. As Deku would basically smile at her as they walk in. Now, this is when Deku walking in, when Bakugou out of nowhere begins to rush in, saying, "Izuku, I'll kill you!" As he begins to launch an explosion at Deku, the Deku catches and redirects towards the wall, making Bakugou go in through another building. Now, no, another room. As Bakugou would get out of there, being like, "Ugh, damn it!" As Deku would get into a fighting position. As in almost an instant, he would rush at Bakugou using 15% and hit 3 of his pressure points, knocking him out instantly. As that happens, Bakugou's just on the floor, just twisted in pain, not being able to move, but at all. As Deku would proceed to look at Kendo as he says, well, he's taking out. Let's go handle the other guy out and take the bomb. As Kendo would just be thinking that this kid he's amazing. As Deku and Kendo would proceed to rush out of there. Now, this is when Deku would proceed to basically rush into the room with Kendo. As Kendo would make her hands big, as she would begin to shoot wind pressure, I guess you could say, at Ida, right when Ida's about to run, sending him flying back. As Deku would rush in there towards the bomb, not even trying to take out Ida. As Ida would say, "Oh no, you don't," using his engine quirk to blast off towards Deku, trying to go in for a thunderous kick. As he swings about to kick Deku's head, Deku ducks, grabs the kick, and sweeps the leg and throws him at the wall, creating a crater with Ida. As Kendo just smiles and holds her waist, she then walks up to Deku and says, "That was pretty cool." As Deku begins to smile into her, "Yeah, I guess it was." As they both begin to touch the bomb at the same time, and they hear on the speakers, "Hero Team wins!" As Deku and Kendo would smile, thinking that they're pretty good as a team. As Deku and Kendo would proceed to basically just be talking a little bit after the matches. Now afterwards, Kendo would say that she got a blast, as Deku would be like, that's cool. Now, this is when Deku would walk into the little, at the end of the day, Deku would, just basically be walking home. Kirishima's like, "Hey Deku, hey Izuku." As Deku would be like, "Hey, what's up, Kirishima?" As he'd say, "Nothing much, man, but it was pretty manly how you kicked that kid's ass in the training exercise." As Deku would say that it was nothing. Also saying, "Oh crap, I forgot to," as he then rushes back to the school. As Bakugou's just sitting there in the infirmary, just not being able to move. As Deku's just like, "Sorry, I forgot to, take these off." As he then taps Bakugou 3 times, bringing him out of the paralyzed state. As Bakugou would shoot an explosion at Deku's face that he dodges, saying, "Hey, watch it." As Bakugou would get angry, saying, "Damn you," saying, "I'll kill you next time we fight." As Deku would just be like, "Okay, damn, what's wrong with this kid?" As Deku and Bakugou would proceed to just, be on not the best terms, since Bakugou's a little bit of a dickhead. Now, we're going to go ahead and just hop into the little, the USJ. Now, this is when Deku would basically just be on the bus with Kendo. As soon as then begins to say, "Ribbit." As soon as then begins to say, "Hey, so who do you guys think is the strongest in the class?" If you guys can't tell, I kind of hate Suyu. She's so annoying. Her voice. No, I don't know, man. It's just me personally. I dislike Suyu very, very, very strongly. Now, this is when, they'd basically be on the bus. Suyu then says, "Hey, Midoriya, your quirk is, your quirk is pretty strong. As Deku would tell her that during the little exam thing that they did, he barely used his quirk. He only used it to speed blitz Bakugou to hit his pressure points. As Tsuyu would say, huh? You didn't use it? Then how were you able to take out those kids so easily? As Deku would tell her that he's trained very well in martial arts by his father, Shifu. As he began to tell everybody in the class that he was trained by his father, or his stepdad, I guess you could say. No, his adopted father, Shifu, I guess. But he doesn't consider him adopted. He thinks of Shifu as, his real father, since his real father wasn't there for him, and Shifu has been. That means that he's more of a father to him than his blood one could be. Now, this is when Deku would proceed to basically just smile, telling them that, it's all good, as they would all be like, huh. Now, this one they would arrive on the USJ after, talking about who's the strongest, with everybody basically agreeing that it would have to be Deku, with Todoroki being like, huh, sure it is. I'm the strongest. I mean, my name is Shota Todoroki and I have daddy issues. I am the strongest. Just kidding. Now, anyways, this is when Deku would basically proceed to walk out, as, 13 just walks out and ends up giving her speech, with Aizawa telling the kids to walk inside. Now, as soon as they walk inside the door, Deku would just get a bad feeling. He would sense negative auras all over the room. As Deku would look at Aizawa, as he then says, get everybody, as he's about to say, get everybody out. But before he can do that, Kurogiri appears, warping all of the kids away. And, Kirishima and Bakugou would have rushed at him, making him warp all of the people away. Now, this is when Deku would proceed to be like, damn it. As Deku would get teleported away with Tsuyu and Mineta, as well as Kendo. Now, this is when Deku would proceed to basically land, as Tsuyu would end up taking all of them back to the ship. As soon as this happens, Deku would tell them that they're going to need a plan to take out these heroes as quick as possible. As he then asks everybody for their quirks, and they all begin to tell them what they have. As Deku would think about Tsuyu and Mineta, thinking that they're going to be the greatest assets, as he then looks at Kendo, telling her that she could definitely help him out with something. As Deku and Kendo proceed to jump off the ship, saying, die! Since Deku thinks that that's the best approach in terms of everything. As Deku and Kendo would begin to use their quirks, as Deku would use a 50% smash to the water, creating a huge tornado, I guess you could say, that he had done in canon. With Kendo using her hands to blast a huge amount of wind pressure at the circle, making it grow even more. This is when Tsuyu would jump out and grab everybody with their tongue, as Mineta would say, ah, and begin to throw all the sticky balls at them, as they all end up getting captured. Now, this is when they would all get back to mainland, as he would begin to tell Kendo, Mineta, and Tsuyu to go back, as he would say that he's going to handle some of these villains. As Kendo would be like, you can't do it all by yourself. As Deku would say, trust me, I can take on hundreds of opponents at once without any problem. As Kendo would just trust Deku's judgment, as she would basically go off, as Deku would proceed to start beating some ass. I'm talking Madara versus the Four Shinobi Alliance type shit. Like, he begins to really caress their ass. Oh my god. As he begins to beat these man's asses. Anyways, he would go side to side with Aizawa, as Aizawa was beginning to get a little bit overwhelmed by the sheer numbers and magnitude of the villains. As this is when Deku and Aizawa would proceed to take out all of the villains very swiftly. Deku would take most of his out with hitting them in the back of the head, using pressure point attacks, and just knocking them out with chops to the back of the neck. With Aizawa hitting them on the head with his knees, or elbowing them, or just hitting them on the side of the head to take them out. He would use a scarf to help Deku out as well, as this is when Shigaraki would say, Nomu, kill that brat. As the Nomu would begin to rush at Deku, as it then punches right at Deku's direction, as Deku would go to weave the punch and redirect it in a different direction, having the Nomu shoot a huge wind pressure punch at the ceiling, making the ceiling collapse on this part that it got hit. And this is when Deku would think that this guy is definitely a threat, as he would then immediately rush into 50% full cowling, as he then gets into a fighting stance as the Nomu rushes at him. Deku and the Nomu would go blow for blow, as Deku would get extremely amazed at how powerful this Nomu is. The Nomu would definitely be trying to get any blows on Deku, but Deku would instantly dodge them all as he would weave out of the way or redirect the punches, as Deku would land consecutive punches like the Nomu, as the Nomu would begin to screech in pain, going ah, as Deku would just smile, as he then says, "Gotcha!" He'll then go in to hit the Nomu's pressure points as the Nomu just stays still for a second, as it then regains its composure and begins to attack. Now, as soon as Deku sees this, he would notice that this Nomu was unaffected by it, as he would then think that he has to take it out in one simple swoop. This is when Deku would say, he would then breathe in and out and go into total concentration mode as he then rushes at the Nomu, using his fist to just do a spinning attack as he then hits the Nomu's head clean off. He would legit rush in there, and with a spinning punch that he also jumped into the air for, a sort of Superman punch you could say, he would come in and bam on the Nomu, knocking the head right off of its shoulders, as the Nomu's head would punch right off as he had hit it at the perfect angle to make it blow off of its body. As Deku would proceed to then look at Shigaraki, and Shigaraki's like, this is not fair, as he then says, they cheated. That brat, he's gonna pay, as he begins to rush at Deku, as Deku just smiles and rushes at Shigaraki, tapping 2 of his pressure points, knocking Shigaraki clean out. And this is when Kurogiri would see this. Now, as soon as Kurogiri would see this, he would rush at Shigaraki, as Deku's about to knock Shigaraki out for good on top of the paralyzation, about to smack him, as Kurogiri would go into. And that's where we're going to be leaving it on for today. If you guys want to find out what happens in this part, does Shigaraki get captured? Does he end up getting away? Make sure to go watch part 3. That's basically going to be coming out tomorrow to find out. But that being said, this has been your boy Zether, and I am out.